Guys, today is another episode of Club Review, and today I'm going to look at West Ham, who are having another good season. They've definitely not dropped off from the progress they made last season. But yeah, anyway, let's get into it. Okay, so West Ham's form has been weird this season. I think that's fair to say. They seem to they go. I've got some notes written down here. They've gone on like runs of victories, but also they have runs of losses and draws. And I've got written down that basically there's David Moyes' arc. It's not Noah's arc. It's Moyes' arc, because every loss comes in a two. So like if they lose one game, they lose the next as well. It's like so it's like 2 by 2, isn't it? The animals go in, the losses come in. But yeah, they're still at the moment fifth in the league, but Arsenal and Tottenham are both 1 point behind with varying games in hand. So it doesn't look right now that they'll be fifth when everyone's all played the same games. In theory, they would probably be seventh. So it's not too bad, but that they are going to have a challenge in getting a Europa League place again this season. I think they should at least get a Conference League place and finish seventh. But whether they'll want that is a completely different matter. In the FA Cup, they've beaten Leeds in the third round 2-0 a few weeks ago, so they're through in that. And then in the EFL Cup, or the League Cup as I call it, they managed to beat Manchester United 1-0 with Manuel Lanzini goal at Old Trafford. And then at the Olympic Stadium, they beat Man City on penalties before getting knocked out by Tottenham. So that is a tough run, to be fair. I don't like using the term Big Six, but in 3 games they played 3 teams of the Big Six, as Sky call it. I don't like using that term because nobody is too big in football to, go on a downfall. I think Nottingham Forest, Sheffield Wednesday, and many others have shown that over the years. But enough about that, back to this. Okay, so for me, West Ham's best starting 11 is Lucas Fabianski in goal. He's not always the most world-class goalkeeper, let's say. He is prone to the occasional error, and that's the way he's always been. Even in his days at Arsenal and Swansea, he was like that. But what you are getting is like a solid 7 out of 10 keeper with him. Like he's not. He doesn't make these mistakes consistently. It's like 1 in every 10 games he'll have a bad game. But I think that is really like that is good enough for West Ham. And then a back four, which it's rare they've played together this season because of injuries. It's Vladimir Kufal at right back, who, to be fair, this season has been pushed at times by the young Ben Johnson, who is a very good young player. And then and then followed by Kurt Zouma and Angelo Ogbonna, who've both been injured recently, and then Aaron Cresswell, who it feels like has been probably in West Ham's team for coming up to like a decade now. He's very consistent for them. And then midfield two of Souček and Rice. Everyone knows that they're arguably the 2 best midfield, well, the best midfield pairing in the league, because not many teams use a midfield pairing. I think you still probably put Chelsea's above them, but other than that, it's close. And then 3 behind the striker of Jarrod Bowen inside Benrahma, and also Pablo Fornals, and then obviously Mikel Antonio up front. I think it's quite easy to pick West Ham's best starting 11 because they don't have that much strength in depth. Like, their squad is quite thin. But yeah, it is a very good team. Okay, so David Moyes is doing a brilliant job at West Ham. I think that is clear to see, to be honest. for me, it's probably the best job he's done in management so far because when you think about where West Ham were when he came in, they were just under Manuel Pellegrini and they were in a relegation battle. I think it was late 2019 when he came in, and it looked like they were heading for the drop, which, was not a good move for a club like West Ham. I know, as I said earlier, no one's entitled to be in the Premier League, but West Ham, if you're picking the 20 biggest clubs in English football, they are going to be in it, aren't they? But yeah, it looked like they were heading down, and within 18 months of David Moyes coming in, they're playing European football, which is incredible, really. So yeah, like all props to him. And yeah, he just seems to have brought the team together. He's made some really smart signings, like players that nobody had heard of. Who knew who Vladimir Kufal and Thomas Souček were before Moyes signed them? Same with Jarrod Bowen, really. I think people knew about Jarrod Bowen, but he's taken him to another level since he's been at West Ham. And yeah, Moyes is just doing an absolutely fantastic job at West Ham. And, hopefully for West Ham fans, he can continue that. But yeah. Okay, so for West Ham and like improvements to the squad, I've picked three positions. The first one is a defensive midfielder because although they've got two very good defensive midfielders in Declan Rice and Thomas Souček, if one of them does get injured, for instance, they are struggling a bit because Mark Noble, I know West Ham fans love him. I think he might even be leaving at the end of the season as well. But he's not the player he used to be. That's why he's no longer in the starting 11. And from what I've seen of Alex Crowell, not really Premier League level. So I've gone with Ruben Neves to be signed, not really as backup, but like as a rotation option, because I think Ruben Neves could definitely easily challenge Souček and Rice to get into the starting 11. He's brilliant passer, brilliant tackler and ball winner. Interceptions he's very good at, and also he can shoot from distance, as we've seen a ridiculous amount of times over the past 5 years he's been in English football. He is a very, very good midfielder. And then I've gone with right winger because Jarrod Bowen is doing very well. But sometimes when Mikel Antonio's injured, which is at least once a season, he's a very good player, but you can't rely on him to play 45 games a season. Sometimes Bowen has to be moved to the striking role. So I've gone with Adama Traore. Now, first of all, don't worry, Wolves fans. I'm not. The third one isn't a Wolves player. But I've picked Traore because he's a brilliant dribbler. He's ridiculously strong and quick, and he offers something different for West Ham. And also, he wins lots of free kicks. So, that's where one of West Ham's strengths is, because the amount of height they've got in their team from set pieces. And then finally for striker, because, behind Mikel Antonio, there isn't really any strikers like Jarrod Bowen. He is as good as he is at filling in that role. I don't think he's as good in the striker role as he is on the right in the three behind the striker. I've picked Ben Brereton Diaz from Blackburn, who is having a brilliant season in the Championship. He's already scored 20 goals this season, and yeah, he's going to play in this Premier League at some point. I think ridiculous goal scorer, very good dribbler, and he is a counter-attack threat, which would suit West Ham brilliantly, I think. And he also has, he is quite tall as well, so, that's another plus for West Ham, really. But yeah, those are the three players that I think West Ham should go for next. Okay, in summary, I think West Ham are having another very good season. I know some fans will feel as though it's a little bit disappointing that they're not it does well. They still could do it. They still could get top four, but I think some fans will have been a bit unrealistic in wanting them to get top four this season. I think if they can get another Europa League finish, like finish sixth again, that's like it's not an improvement on last season, but what it is it does sort of like remove any sort of questions over was it a fluke last season? Were they too reliant on the loan signing of Jesse Lingard to get them goals? Which I think this season they've shown that they were more than Jesse Lingard's last season, although Lingard did do very well for them. But yeah, I think still an 8 out of 10 I would give them at the moment on how they're doing. But anyway, thanks for watching and I'll see you next time.